Welcome to the third edition of Green Wheels, the podcast that's driving change towards a more sustainable future. I am your host, Eugene Ni Amwa Gogo, and I'm excited to continue our conversation with Mr. David Apia Owusu Anan, an environmental care expert. In our previous episodes, we explored the importance of proper vehicular oil disposal and sustainable transportation practices. Today, we are going to take a closer look at how different regions are tackling environmental challenges. We will compare what's working in Western countries like the US and the UK with the unique challenges and opportunities facing Ghana and other African nations. Let's dive and explore what we can learn from each other. Discussing the issue about vehicular oil disposal and the hazard it poses to our environment is Mr. David Annan, an environmentalist or environmental care specialist. Now, Mr. Annan, if you go to Europe, it seems they are doing something better that we are not doing in Ghana here. Let me narrow our space to Ghana here or in Africa here. What do you think they are doing right?
They are doing a whole lot. Now, in 2018, okay, for about 1.6 million tons of waste oil were collected in the European Union. And about that, about 61% of the waste oil was regenerated. They are doing this, we are not doing.
Regenerated, that is, it was turned into oil base again.
Yes, it was turned into oil base again. And 39% followed energy recovery pathways, either in the form of conversion or fuel or via direct work. So you can see they are doing a whole lot.
And you could rightly see that a recycled oil, when it is being put in a car, or it does not weaken the engine of the car. And in Ghana here, you could say that in as much as oil is being disposed in gutters and other things, some of them ends up in cars again, which eventually weakens the engine, and eventually when the car is going, it emanates smoke, which is very hazardous to the environment, and it makes difficult breathing very difficult.
Exactly, air pollution. Good.
So what do you think the government of Ghana can emulate from these European countries?
We do not have the facilities, the infrastructures, and all those things that they are using to do that. So the government can or should create these infrastructures, get the facilities, the equipment, research on how this development are being done, how this recycling are being done. And then with these infrastructures and the facilities being created, it is going to create employment for some. And people should be trained, because when you go to these European sectors, they train up youngsters, they train up people or unemployed people. These people are being employed to work in these infrastructures. I convert this oil to energy recovery pathways.
So I was reading, and it says that the already used oil can be used again. How true is this?
Yes, it can be used again. Why? Because now the old oil, which is refined into a new oil, can be used as lubricants, fossil oils, or fuel oils, and also can be used for raw materials. Now the old oil also compromises of new metal, which can be recycled. Now the refining process is what they do is they extract water from the oil by putting it in the land settling tanks. Which allows the separation from the oil and then the water.
Okay, for example, just one group of companies, if you go to Jamestown, they have their waste plant there, whereby human excreta, after it is being exhumed from the septic tanks, it has been dumped into a huge tank, and chemicals are being sprayed on it so that the stringent smell, you will not smell the stringent, the smell will not come out again. And these are the things they use for manure. So if the government should also partner private sectors, the government can also do same, whereby creating employment and making our environment very safe for all of us and protecting aquatic life as well.
Also, now the used oil, before all these things are being done, the used oil is first tested. Okay. Now, before you test this used oil, you need to have the equipment, the facilities, like I said earlier. So the used oil is first tested to determine the suitability for refining. So if the oil is not tested and its suitabilityness is not checked, then how can they be sure that refining of this used oil will be successful? So they first need to test the oil to determine the suitability for refining. Now, after which it is dehydrated, and then the water is distillated, and it is also treated before released into the environment. Now, if all these measures are being taken, then we can have proper, conducive environment, which will be safe for both you and I to live on.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Anand, for sharing an insightful tidbit in protecting our neighborhood. We are grateful for your time.
Thank you so much. I'm very grateful, and I'm very happy to join in this discussion. Matters that we need to look at, we need to look into, we need to create awareness, we need to make the government know. Also, we as the individuals, we need to create this awareness to the people around them, the kind of job around us. We need to start up something before the government can also chip into it and then support us. When you and I start these things up, when you and I start up the door-to-door campaign, start up the door-to-door awareness and all these things, then we can start up from somewhere. There is an adage again that goes, little drops of water makes a mighty ocean. Thank you once again for allowing me to join this interesting and then vital discussion. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. That's all for today's episode of Green Wheels. Thank you, David, for sharing your expertise and insights on sustainable practices in Western countries and Ghana. We have learned a lot about what's working and what we can improve on. As we wrap up this episode, we are reminded of the importance of achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 12 that says responsible consumption and production. By working together, we reduce waste, increase resource efficiency, and promote sustainable practices. We can create a more sustainable future for all. Thank you to you, our listener, for tuning in and being a part of this conversation. Remember, every small action counts, and by working together, we can make a great impact. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on social media for more updates on sustainable living and transportation. And if you have any questions or topics you would like to discuss, please reach us on our social media X handle at Echo Oil Guardian or via email echooilguardian@gmail.com. Thanks again, David, for joining us on this journey towards a greener future. This podcast is produced by Edith Opon, ably assisted by Abigail Ankra, executive producer Mary Commodore, researchers Mr. Tony, and I am your host, Eugene Ni Amwagugu.